All right, welcome back, everybody. Learners across the country have been getting educated on democracy and the importance of voting. The School's Democracy Week initiative began last year after an agreement between the Independent Electoral Commission together with the Basic Education Department. Only 28% of potential voters under 30 years voted in this year's elections, which was a big disappointment, I must say. To tell us more, we're joined in the studio by Mosotho Moepya, who is the Chief Electoral Officer at the IEC. It's good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
It's wonderful to be here, Leanne.
Now, we really were expecting this to be the election of the youth, and it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. But then when you dig deeper and you see what's going on, only 28% of potential voters under 30 voted in the election. You've had time to go through that. What are the reasons? Why do you think?
I think one of the primary reasons is it's just an issue of, the opportunities that young people have had. Many of our young people have not had as many of the opportunities that, older citizens have had. They've probably had one or two registration weekends available to them. Our offices remain open. We work extensively to reach them, but it is important that we look at, what opportunities they have had to register and to vote. Subsequent to the elections, we've convened a meeting of young persons, and in that meeting we were looking at what is it exactly that keeps them from registering, or that hampers them rather from registering and voting, and out of that we are going to be developing a program to overcome those obstacles if there are any obstacles.
Yeah. What obstacles are we looking at? A lot of people were talking about the fact that the youth are disillusioned, but clearly that's not the only reason, and that there, as you speak about, obstacles in the way. Give us some examples.
I think there are a number of minor challenges, I'd put them. One of them is that, there are often perceptions that our law would require people to register using their licenses and passports and so on and so forth. The law is actually very clear. You have to use your green barcoded identity document or your smart card identity document. There's also a requirement that you register in person. You cannot send somebody to register on your behalf. If you are not in the position to come to a registration facility, we do have options for you to ask us to come to visit you where you are. And those are some of the little things that we have. Of course, we have seen young people take to social media and talk about quite a lot of the issues, clarifying some of the issues that concern them.
Yeah.
On registration weekends, for example, we used social media to good effect in that we reminded persons that you need to bring your identity document and present yourself at the registration station. On election day, we reminded people that you need to bring again your identity document to vote on election day. And that has helped somewhat. We do believe that the engagement will lead to greater participation, much broader engagement with young people, especially as we work out of an election period, this period that we're talking about, in other words.
Yeah, this is a good preparation time, because, it always, and I think people suddenly see all this election news and education drives happening just before elections, but it isn't the case, and this is the job of the IEC. Yeah. It's an ongoing battle.
That's the point. The issue is that we need to keep society engaged.
Yeah.
That's why we're in schools. We were in schools last week.
So talk to me about what's happening at schools. Are you giving talks, education campaigns as to your rights? Starting from young? Yes,
we are preparing young South Africans or young citizens in this nation to engage, to be active and to be responsible citizens that will engage with our electoral democracy. And in that process, we know that they are very good ambassadors. For example, if there's a young one living with a granddad and a grandmom, they will go home and share what they have learned in the day, and in that way they will also be imparting a lot of the electoral democracy education with their households. But it is important for them to internalize it at a young age so that when they attain the age of registration and voting, they then become responsible citizens, they participate in electoral democracy in their nation, and of course, they increase the participation as we would want to see it happen.
Which schools have you highlighted and visited so far?
We have been visiting schools across the nation for a week last week. Of course, we don't want it to be a one-week thing in a year, but it is important that we highlight it in a year. One of our desires is to have it as part of the curriculum in schools that persons, learners may continue on an ongoing basis to learn about electoral democracy, especially in our nation. There is so much that is happening every month with regards to elections and voting, and we want citizens to know that.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk about other issues, and I suppose it wouldn't be right of me not to bring up the former IEC chairperson, Pansy Tlakula, things that now she has left. How are things going? What are things like at the IEC?
I think one must accept that it has been a very difficult process. It is going to be a little difficult, but it will settle. One of the things that persons like me would be keeping their eyes on is to ensure that the environment within the working place is one that is conducive for us to undertake the work that we are meant to do. We have an election coming in less than 2 years, and it is important that we prepare for that election extensively. And I must admit, those are some of the preoccupations I have as Chief Electoral Officer, to ensure that we prepare extensively for that election and that we undertake that election in a manner that will make South Africa proud.
Yeah. Moving on and filling the shoes of Pansy Tlakula.
I'm very glad it's a matter that is handled elsewhere. As you know, the invitations for nominations were open and they closed about a week ago, and that process is being held, chaired by the Chief Justice, and recommendations will be made from there, I imagine. Okay,
so possibly we would hear about, would it be this year that we would hear who the new chairperson is, or perhaps next year?
I wouldn't make a commitment because it's not a process I manage, but I should imagine that process will move fairly swiftly.
I would imagine so, because I think people need to know that things are back to normal and restoring the faith within South Africans. Is this part and parcel of your duty as well, just to keep people in the loop as to what's happening, and also saying that the IEC, we're there for you. We always have been, and not much has changed.
I think from us, the thing that we should ensure is to ensure that elections, as we should run them, must run as well as we can, and make South Africa proud. We continue to prepare for this. As you may be aware, in November we're going to have our largest by-elections this nation has ever seen.
Yes.
We will be in more than 130 wards, which is over 600 voting districts across the nation. And for us, it is the work that we are meant to do on an ongoing basis, and work that we should do well to acquit ourselves. Every thought that says we are not in the position to run elections, it's a thought that I'd like to arrest and ensure that the work that we do continues to be work of a high standard.
Thank you for talking to us. Thank you for clarifying a couple of issues, and I'm sure we'll get you in before those by-elections, because I know that those are vitally important to South Africa as well. I mean, that's huge. 600 voting districts coming up around South Africa, and we'll talk to you about those closer to the time, South Africa. But thank you as always for availing yourself to us. Moepya, who is the IEC Chief Electoral Officer. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.